In this video, I want to update you guys on some of the most recent Fallout 76 news, and there's actually several pretty interesting things going on with the game that are a little bit different. A couple of controversial things around the game, a limited time offer that was a little bit too limited. There's been some code of conduct changes, so as you had to log into Fallout 76, there was a brand new code of conduct you had to accept to play the game online, and that's actually been causing quite a bit of concern. Did Bethesda ban mods in the process? Even further, for the better half of this week, and seemingly until the end of the week, one fairly fundamental feature has been broken, so we're going to go over a bit of that and Bethesda's patching cycle in general. But even further, the first season of Fallout 76 has ended, so we do have some interesting inferences from that, as well as this will probably be one of my last videos before the big new update, so I'll talk a bit about that towards the end. If you guys enjoy the content or want to just stay up to date with Fallout 76, you can get subscribed. As I mentioned before, big new update coming this Tuesday, so you can look forward to that one. But otherwise, first and foremost, we did just hear that the weekly Inside the Vault article, typically coming every Thursday, was delayed. So if you're wondering where that was or why I'm not talking about it, it just didn't happen today. It's happening tomorrow. In all likelihood, it's going to be a recap or a look at what's coming in the next update. So nothing super new, as a lot of that content's been on the public test server. But if there's any huge new announcements in it, I definitely will post a video tomorrow looking at those. But otherwise, let's first take a look at some features that actually broke in Fallout 76, notably nukes. So nukes in Fallout 76 reset on a weekly basis, and it seems like this week something broke with this reset. So a couple of days ago, it seemed like many people are having issues either getting nuke codes to drop or even launching the nukes themselves. You would use your nuke codes and it just wouldn't work. And some of the popular websites that decode Fallout 76 nuke codes were reflecting this. And long story short, it basically seems like somehow Bethesda broke nukes in Fallout 76. It's not like an update just went live and that's what caused it, but rather it seems somehow connected to this reset, or perhaps one of the past hotfixes broke it and only really happened now. It's also interesting because it seems like this got worse over time. It looks like it started on either Monday or Tuesday, but wasn't happening to everyone. There were only a few reports, and some people weren't having problems at all, but over time it seemed to have been getting worse and worse. In the White Springs bunker, you could sometimes find this reported on the displays, although in my game it actually just said in progress, and it seems like there might be some workarounds to get nukes launched, but for many people it's just not working right now. And as such, in game you're seeing way less nukes launch overall. Bethesda has responded to this, and the response to this has actually been kind of interesting or almost funny to me. Their initial response came earlier yesterday, where they said that they've isolated the problem with nuke codes and are pushing a fix out. They will be resolved soon. So everyone was like, oh cool, really exciting. We kind of saw that message reposted a few times. Later on in the day, we did hear that actually no, this won't be resolved today, so soon is Valve time soon. And then today we heard another update where they mentioned how it's going to be fixed tomorrow instead of today, so a couple of days after that soon statement. Now, in all likelihood, this isn't the community manager's fault. It's just whoever was fixing this thought it would be an easier fix than it actually was. It ends up taking a couple of days rather than a couple of hours. But either way, that's still a fairly lengthy amount of time to have, again, a fairly fundamental feature with nuke dropping not work for many people, as it's going on several days at this point and whenever the fix drops tomorrow. But if you're wondering either why you weren't seeing many nukes or you were unable to launch nukes yourself, this is the reason. Although again, it seems like some people are having more luck with jumping different servers. It seems like whatever broke might be server specific to some degree, so it's definitely at least worth trying a different server if you are attempting to launch a nuke. And although I feel like I'm harping on this issue pretty often, I think this is something Bethesda has repeatedly just done or had problems with fixing things in a timely manner. In the past, we saw how player vending was down for 2 weeks due to a dupe, which seems like a really long time for, again, a fundamental feature, or even the Ounce of Prevention quest still being broken a month later, that being a fundamental quest, something you have to complete for Wastelanders. There are certain workarounds, some of which require private servers, but many regular players cannot complete that quest. So now, of course, this is a hard thing to criticize in that, one, everyone's working remote right now, two, it is actual people who probably want to stop working for the day, but overall it definitely seems like Bethesda has had problems with the timeliness of some of their hot fixes, or even just how long it takes to update or patch certain things. Because to me, a main story quest being broken for a month is pretty unacceptable. You would think somebody would be more on top of that. I know though not having nukes for a few days isn't the end of the world, it again is just another example of this. One of the other recent controversies to pop up was around the Brotherhood of Steel Collectron. In game, there was this recent event where you had to donate materials to the Brotherhood of Steel, and if you donated enough materials, you would win things. One such thing being the Brotherhood of Steel Collectron, which you typically could collect some of these rewards on the Atomic Shop. Except the Brotherhood of Steel Collectron went live on the Atomic Shop just before Labor Day and was only available for 3 days over Labor Day weekend. So many people are pretty upset where they actually did things for their holiday weekend and didn't even realize this was available for collection and totally missed out on it, despite the fact that they participated in the event donating resources to earn this in the first place. So fortunately there's a happy ending with this one, as they did announce that it's going to be available once again on Tuesday, September 15th, and it will be available for a full week. So if you missed out on it originally, you will have another opportunity to get it, and a longer opportunity this time. Even further, a couple of other things with the Atomic Shop and in-game. There is a no mic emote on the Atomic Shop, which is a free new addition and a great new addition. I think a lot of people will really like this, including myself. And actually a purveyor sale is live right now, another reward for helping out the Brotherhood of Steel. But then let's go over some of the recent code of conduct changes to pop up from Bethesda. This has been something that has featured a lot of communication in the community and concerns. Did Bethesda ban mods? Is this a horrible decision or action by them? So of course, Fallout 76 and Bethesda overall always had a code of conduct in terms of service, but just recently the Bethesda code of conduct was updated, and to play Fallout 76, regardless of platform, you had to accept this new code of conduct to log in. And if you don't, you technically can't play. But as people read into this, there were some interesting changes or just aspects to the code of conduct. I can't imagine many read the old one. I know I wasn't super familiar with it, but one of the big things that got a lot of discussion is this line with security. You're forbidden from using any unapproved third-party applications, programs, scripts, or other game-modifying mechanic used to change the gameplay experience on a ZeniMax game service, forum, or other game. And many people thought this meant that mods were banned from Fallout 76, or it was functionally banning the use of mods. So one important disclaimer with this code of conduct overall as we go through many of the points in it. A lot of people were confused with this, not realizing it isn't a Fallout 76 specific code of conduct, and of course that's an easy mistake to make when you are literally accepting it as you log into the game. It seems like it's Fallout 76 specific, but rather this is for Bethesda titles overall. Any game you launch using the Bethesda.net launcher is applicable here. Even just an example, ESO also required you to accept this new code of conduct yesterday, and in fact it wasn't allowing many people to launch the game because there was a bug with it. So though at first glance it seems like this is definitely in reference or targeting mods for Fallout 76, it doesn't really seem like that could plausibly be the case, considering mods are officially supported by ZeniMax and you do have built-in mod tools for Fallout 4 and Skyrim. Although those two games aren't available on the Bethesda.net launcher, games like Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 are. So if this bans mods for Fallout 76, hypothetically it also would for Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Mods for Fallout 76 definitely do fall into a weird gray area. They actually do have an article on this. Can I use mods or other third-party programs with Fallout 76? Where it does say Fallout 76 does not support the use of any mods, add-ons, or other third-party programs. Please be aware that use of such applications may result in Fallout 76 not functioning properly, which honestly doesn't really give an answer one way or the other. But one of the big reasons mods are likely not banned from the game is that you can still play the game. In Fallout 76 right now, if you do have many mods installed, it'll ban you from playing the Nuclear Winter game mode, saying you have a mod installed so you're not allowed in. So if they were banning mods for typical use in adventure mode, they would probably just apply the same aspect or the same keyword to the adventure mode and also make it so you can't even log in. Likely what this is in reference to is a wide variety of third-party hacking programs, not just everyday mods. Although until we get an approved program list, it is still kind of a weird gray area. But I think banning mods would be a huge piece of news, and Bethesda would definitely clarify that before bans really start going out. But some other interesting things you could find in here, it describes how you can abuse exploits or share them with other people, which of course with a public test server is kind of a big issue, and that's almost the point of the public test server, to find and abuse exploits, to tell Bethesda about them. But it was clarified on the PTS forum that you can abuse exploits for the PTS and in testing. One entry I found particularly interesting is that Bethesda also bans stream sniping, naming and shaming, or griefing against other users. And they do explicitly say here, we do not tolerate discussion that is created for the purpose of naming and shaming other users. Naming and shaming is the act of creating a discussion to call out an individual or group by name and making them the subject of public accusation, ridicule, and or shaming. Now I found this interesting because does that ban criticism of certain groups or even like a YouTuber? Like if I made an angry post about one in-game Fallout 76 clan, I think that technically isn't allowed here and could result in a ban win for me. The terms of service do apply to ZeniMax services, so that would mean Bethesda.net, but they also do have a clause where it says, without inferring any obligation to do so, ZeniMax may investigate where it suspects there has been a breach of this code of conduct, which could include reviewing other forums and websites. So this is not something I'm going to do, but hypothetically, if I went to Bethesda support and was like, hey, this guy made a mean Reddit post about me and it really hurt my feelings, would Bethesda actually take action against that with this new code of conduct update? That's one of the big questions with this overall. There's a lot of things listed in this that are interesting, like how you cannot con or swindle other users, trade scams are banned, you cannot discuss ZeniMax lawsuits or legal matters, you cannot impersonate other users or celebrities. But is Bethesda support actually going to enforce any of this? Or is it just things in the code of conduct that are technically not allowed, but large in part they will be ignored or just are there to cover Bethesda in case anything did go wrong and got more publicity in the future? It'll definitely be interesting to see, because again, there are a lot of things in here where you could definitely have a situation where a user's like, hey, somebody's trying to impersonate me in game, and then go to Bethesda support complaining about it, and I'll be curious to see what kind of response there is, if any at all. On an unrelated note, it seems like Bethesda may have added a stealth change to the Battle Royale mode, as now it does seem like it requires over 40 players for the Battle Royale lobby to actually initiate. If you are somebody who enjoys Battle Royale in Fallout 76, this is a very positive change. In the past, you would sometimes get lobbies of 25 people, which is way too few for a 50-person map. You just spend a ton of time running around, but now I would much prefer longer wait times and more full lobbies. It makes the overall match, once you finally get to it, a lot more enjoyable. This week, Season 1 for Fallout 76 came to an end. We now have this week-long gap between Season 1 and Season 2, starting with the next update on Tuesday. But something interesting I noticed is this actually marked the lowest player count for Fallout 76 since it released on Steam, and we could easily track the players overall. And just in general, across the Fallout 76 forums, Discord, etc., you really can notice a lack of user activity. It seems like there are just less people in and playing the game overall right now, which could be a slight at the game, but it also really is a testament to how effective the season system was at keeping players active. It feels almost immediate. After the season ended, people just stopped playing as often. Now, from Bethesda's perspective, this isn't a huge downside because the next season starts in just a couple of days now, but still it is pretty interesting to look at that numbers. I wish we had the overall player count to see how much of a drop off there was after the season ended immediately. Which, speaking of, we do have a big patch coming this Tuesday, and it almost certainly will feature some tears and angry Reddit posts, so prepare for that. This patch has been live for a while on the public test server, and unless Bethesda has any super last minute changes, there was actually an update just to go live yesterday. It seems like the big balance overhaul is going live, which means a big nerf to damage overall, so many people will find they're going to do less damage. In particular with bloodied build users, you'll be doing a decent chunk less damage overall. The reason this is happening is because it made damage more predictable. It's not as complicated internally, but it results in a nerf to damage output because those multipliers stack differently now. And Bethesda does describe how this makes buffing and nerfing things in the future easier, which is definitely true, but none of those buffs have gone live yet. Thus far, it's only a nerf to damage. So though maybe future updates, like in a month or two, we see buffs to other things, for the time being, it is going to just be a nerf. And again, you'll see a lot of angry people as a result of that. I wouldn't be shocked if tomorrow's Inside the Vault article dives into this or starts to expose it to a broader community. Even further, one other issue that doesn't seem like it's getting fixed in time is a AP refresh problem. This is something I've been noticing, and it's very frustrating all throughout the public test server pretty consistently as I play, where it seems like there's some kind of issue with AP refresh overall, and I just have less action points, so that means less sprinting, less VATs. There's been a couple of posts on this. I don't think there's a huge audience on the public test server, and it's hard to really identify what exactly is causing it, but for me it's been pretty impactful and frustrating. Perhaps it's build specific, me being a bloodied build, it might impact me more, but either way, there's definitely going to be some big stuff coming to Fallout 76 on Tuesday. This big new update and the tiers to follow, but also a lot of new content. Legendary perks, some changes to in-game locations to prepare for future DLC, daily ops, which is an incredible new feature, and a ton of cosmetics to go along with it, which are free to earn. Then of course, one wasteland and some other balance changes. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it informative, but until next time, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all later.